Some childhoods leave invisible scars. Some wounds shape the rest of a life. There was a boy, bright and curious, who tried to be perfect. A top student, a quiet, obedient child. He wanted his mother's love, but was met with fists and criticism instead. Sickly and weak, with a father rarely home and a childhood of constant moves, he found ways to escape. Small habits at first, watching porn, daydreaming, overeating. But over time, this is the story of a boy whose childhood never truly ended, and the coping mechanisms that overtook his life. The boy had always been bright, always trying to earn approval. School was his arena. Each top grade a hope that his mother would notice him, maybe even love him. But her punishments were frequent, her anger constant. He felt small, unseen, unworthy. His father traveled constantly for work, and every 2 years the family moved to a new town. Each relocation meant leaving friends, schools, streets, and comfort behind, never truly belonging anywhere. By middle school, parental fights became routine, and the boy discovered his first escape: porn. It started as curiosity, a private world away from the chaos at home. As the years passed, his grades declined, weight crept on slowly, and daydreams consumed more of his time. His mind wandered constantly, inventing stories and fantasies to survive the emptiness. Every memory of his childhood brought pain, sometimes tears he kept hidden from the world. The coping mechanisms that once offered relief grew into chains. Porn addiction consumed his time. Binge eating soothed anxiety and loneliness. Maladaptive daydreaming created worlds that felt safer than reality. But the cost was high. He never learned real job skills, never held employment, never had a girlfriend. Talking to women made his chest pound, his hands shake, his mind freeze. Social interactions became terrifying. Isolation grew. Every avoided encounter added weight to his anxiety. Every missed opportunity deepened his self-doubt. Inside, shame and secrecy compounded. The boy felt trapped, constantly battling habits he relied on to survive, but that now prevented him from living. The very tools that once protected him now limited his independence, confidence, and relationships. Eventually, the boy recognized the truth. These habits, porn, binge eating, daydreaming, social anxiety, were coping mechanisms born from trauma. They were survival strategies, not failures. He began small, reducing their intensity rather than quitting abruptly. Slowly, he reclaimed brief moments of focus, small successes in self-discipline, and fleeting confidence. Each day required patience and self-compassion. Every small victory reminded him that recovery was possible, but it would take time. Here's the lesson we want you to pause on. Childhood trauma leaves invisible marks. Coping behaviors aren't weakness. They're survival strategies the mind creates to endure pain. But when those patterns go unrecognized, they follow us into adulthood. They quietly shape our relationships, limit our careers, and slow our personal growth. On Wise Parenthood, we share stories like this not to judge, but to understand. If you see yourself in this boy's journey, know this: awareness is the first step. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It happens through patience, guidance, and small, consistent change. Stay with us, because recovery is a process, and no one has to walk it alone. Understanding the causes, psychology, and motives. Why do some children grow into adults trapped in their own minds? Why do coping mechanisms that once helped them survive end up holding them back in life? Childhood trauma, physical punishment, constant criticism, and unstable environments teach the brain that the world is unsafe. Children learn to anticipate danger or disappointment at every turn, and survival becomes automatic. Over time, these coping behaviors can persist into adulthood, shaping actions, thoughts, and emotional responses in ways that limit confidence, independence, and self-expression. Neglect and absence. An emotionally unavailable parent leaves children craving attention, love, and validation. When these needs are unmet, they often develop coping strategies, sometimes addictive, sometimes isolating, to manage loneliness and stress. Over the years, these strategies can prevent children from learning healthy emotional regulation and social connection. Early coping mechanisms. Porn, binge eating, and daydreaming offer temporary relief from stress, fear, or anxiety. At first, they may feel harmless, even comforting, but over time, these escapes can interfere with emotional growth, problem-solving, and real-world interactions. They can keep adults trapped in cycles of avoidance, limiting opportunities for personal development and confidence building. Social anxiety. Children who never feel safe, accepted, or supported often grow into adults who fear judgment, rejection, or intimacy. Everyday interactions, like speaking to someone new or participating in group activities, can trigger overwhelming stress and anxiety. This fear reinforces avoidance, making social isolation more likely and reinforcing self-doubt. Cycle of shame and secrecy. Relying on coping behaviors often leads to secrecy, guilt, and self-doubt. Adults may feel trapped, believing that change is impossible, and they can become isolated from peers, friends, or family. This cycle deepens emotional pain, making it harder to seek support or take steps toward recovery. Long-term consequences. Adults may struggle to maintain focus, pursue education, or hold a career because attention and energy are consumed by coping behaviors and internal struggles. Social isolation, low self-esteem, and anxiety interfere with daily life. Frustration, regret, and dependence on old coping strategies can make real change feel impossible and leave a persistent sense of being behind in life. Lessons and message for children and teens. Sometimes it's hard to recognize that what feels like a harmless habit, daydreaming, overeating, or spending hours online, can slowly take control of your life. Coping strategies often start as shields to protect you from pain, stress, or loneliness. The boy in our story used them to survive his childhood, but over time, they began to limit his life. The lesson here is simple but powerful. Awareness is the first step. Notice when these behaviors start controlling your choices, your focus, or your emotions. Seek support from someone you trust, a parent, teacher, counselor, or friend. Find safe spaces where you can express yourself without fear of judgment. Professional guidance, like therapy or counseling, is not a sign of weakness. It's a tool to help you understand yourself, manage your coping strategies, and build healthier habits. Remember, you don't need to fix everything at once. Recovery is a step-by-step journey, and each small step matters. For parents, your role is crucial. The words you speak, the guidance you give, and even your presence or absence shapes a child's emotional world. The boy in our story craved attention, love, and approval. His mother's criticism and harsh discipline left him seeking escape in habits that provided comfort but limited his life. Discipline should teach, not punish. Correct behavior with understanding, not fear. Validate your child's feelings. Acknowledge their struggles, fears, and victories, no matter how small. Stability is key. Children need consistency, routines, and emotional safety to explore, learn, and grow confidently. Striving for perfection in your child can backfire. Instead, focus on encouragement, patience, and love. Your support today can prevent long-term struggles with self-esteem, anxiety, or coping behaviors. For adults struggling now, for adults who grew up like this boy, it's important to understand. Your coping strategies are not failures. They are survival tools. But survival tools that once helped you endure can limit your growth now. Healing is possible, but it's gradual. Awareness, recognizing which habits are protective and which are limiting, is the foundation. Patience is essential. You will have setbacks, moments of frustration, and times when old patterns resurface. Small, consistent steps, like reducing reliance on compulsive behaviors, practicing focus exercises, or seeking therapy, can gradually reclaim your life. Surround yourself with supportive people, not critics. Celebrate progress, no matter how tiny. Over time, these steps accumulate, and what once felt impossible becomes achievable. Childhood leaves scars, but it does not define the end of your story. The boy in our story is not powerless. He is learning, growing, and reclaiming his life. You or anyone listening can do the same. With understanding, compassion, and persistence, old wounds can heal, coping strategies can be reshaped, and confidence, focus, and joy can return. Recovery is not instant. It is not linear. But every step forward, however small, is a victory. Every effort to understand yourself, to build healthy habits, and to nurture your emotional well-being is a step toward freedom. Childhood may shape us, but it does not have to imprison us. The story doesn't end with trauma. It begins with the courage to face it.